So in the last session, we discussed about some scenario related to Power BI introduction part. So in the same way, now I want to discuss some more scenarios related to this Power BI environment. Like, you know, as I discussed in the last session, project process, how you're going to work in environment, real-time environment, from where your project is going to start. So these things are also really important for us. And coming to next scenario. Now, generally what happens, we are working with some project as Power BI developer. Your task is going to start from data sources. For example, you store data like this. So this is something like, some data source. So this is second class. Today demo completed. We are doing second class today. Okay. So here we have some data source. Please mute all of you, please. From this data source, we are going to perform data extractions, right? Suppose this is your Power BI environment. So here we are going to extract data from data source to Power BI. I said something like ETL operation because you are going to extract data from the data source. Then you're going to transform data, then load data into Power BI environment. That's what we are doing. So here, initially in the project, we are going to connect to different data sources and we are going to extract the data. So then here what we are doing, number one, we are going to start working with the transformations. Okay. As per the requirement, we are going to start work with transformations. See, in yesterday's class, we discussed some points related to transformation. For example, there is some table. We are going to extract data from the table. So, plain select statement is okay. Plain select statement means just you are going to copy complete data from the table. That's what we are doing here. But sometimes we are going to copy only required data. Right? We are going to copy only required data sometimes.
Sir, could you please repeat, sir? Your voice was breaking a few minutes back. After transformation, we couldn't hear anything. Thank you.
So, that is transformation. Transformation means just bring only required data into our environment. So I have given some example also. Suppose we have some employees data here. So based on salary, you want to extract the data. Suppose you want to extract only salary greater than 3,000 employees data. So directly it is not possible. So there what we are doing, tell me, we are going to work with some transformation. For example, sometimes where we are going to work with very simple transformations. For example, there is some column, for example, product name. Data is there in uppercase letters, lowercase letters, but the client requirement data should be there in uppercase letters only. So even this type of requirements also we can expect. Okay. So there, what we are doing in the beginning, we are going to transform the data. After that, we are going to work with the DAX functions, data analysis expressions, calculations, so conversions. Calculations means, for example, you have suppose monthly salary. You want to go for yearly salary, annual salary. In the same way, for example, your organization wants to calculate what is the total salary they're giving to employees every month. So summation of the salary. In the same way, what is the average salary of the employee? So average function. So who is getting maximum salary? So max function. Who is getting least salary? Min function. So number of employees working, count. So this type of calculations, so conversions, so we are going to work. For example, you extracted some sales amount. So sales amount contains some decimal values. But now we don't want to go for decimals. We want to go for only pure integer type of data, what to do, right? So this type of things will be there. For that, we are going to work with the DAX, data analysis expressions, DAX functions. Is it clear? So in the same way, after finishing transformation, so DAX, you are going to finalize the data. So you are going to finalize the data, fine, but how you are going to store data? In the form of tables only, right? And in the form of tables only, we are going to store data. But here important thing is this environment is data warehouse environment. So data warehouse terminology is required for us. So what type of tables we are going to store data means in the form of fact table, dimension table, we are going to store the data. Got my point, and fact table, dimension table. So what is this fact table, dimension table? Actually, fact table, dimension table is from data warehouse. So now this area, where the data is going to finalize, tables are going to store, that area we call it as pivot, power pivot, modeling area, right? And modeling. So here what's happening, modeling means you're going to work with the different tables. Because of that reason only, prerequisite for this course is SQL queries. See, you go to transformations, perform DAX and finalize the data, tables. Every scenario you are going to work with SQL queries. Not only queries. So queries means, am I going to write queries in a Power BI? Some questions I can expect. So you are not writing queries. Something like, when you're going to extract data from the source, you are going to write some queries. But after that, in transformation, so DAX, finalizing tables, you are not going to write queries. But queries related knowledge is useful here. It is required here. That is the point. Okay. Because some people ask me, so sir, are we going to write queries in transformation? So DAX tables. Why we are going to write queries? Where we can write query in SQL only, we can write queries. We are going to invoke those queries in some other platforms. Power BI also same. Got my point? So here these things, whatever I typed there, so these things are related to data preparation, I can say. Okay, na? Data preparation. So then fourth step, what's happening, we are going to work with the visualizations. So your important point is, if you have perfect data, then only you can create perfect visualization. Got my point? Otherwise, you cannot. I've seen some people, some of my friends or colleagues, whatever, they know how to create visualizations, these things, but they are not good at SQL. So it's really happened in my team only. It's happened. So there was some guy. He's from some other location, not from Hyderabad. We got some requirement. So lead assigned some task to him. Simple thing. There are some tables. If you make little changes to tables, that visualization is going to work. That is the requirement. He don't know how to work with tables because he is not good at SQL. And basically he's fake guy. He lost the job. Simple thing. That's why there are some prerequisites. Follow prerequisites. I know that some of the working people also attending this class. Suppose you are working in Java or you are working in ABAP or something. You are good at those things, not in this, right? Because of that reason only you are learning. Just this is my suggestion only, right? So better to work with Power BI. Before going to start with Power BI, better to work with prerequisites. Okay, na? So coming to next scenario. So transformations, DAX, tables creation concepts purely related to data preparation operations. After that, you are going to start working with visualizations, reports creation. This is what we are doing. In project also, these are the steps we are going to perform. Okay, right? So then after creating visualizations, you are going to publish your work, right? You're going to publish your work. So why we are publishing this work? See, the reason is why we are developing these things, because of customers, client side people, or we can say simply users, end users. So after finishing development, we are going to share those visualizations reports to your customers. That's why we are going to publish it. Otherwise, you cannot share them. Okay. So your important thing is dashboard creation, right? So after publishing your work, you can create dashboard. Before that, you cannot create dashboard. Okay. Na? Here we have something called as Power BI service environment. In Power BI service environment only, we can create dashboard. But when we can work with Power BI service after publishing your project, then only you can work with Power BI service. But basically, what is this dashboard? See, dashboard means it's collection of different visualizations. For example, there is some sales data. So different countries' sales you have to analyze. So based on product, based on customer, based on employee, right? Based on offers given on products. So different things. So for everything you are going to create separate report, separate visualization. Got my point? For everything you are going to create separate visualization. So here what's happening, in this scenario, If client wants to check every report individually, it is time taking. In the same way, client side people are not technical people maximum. They cannot analyze the things. That is a problem. Right, and Ashok Kumar, please mute. So coming to next scenario, if you can keep them together, like in the same window, just arrange them in the same window. So if they open that window, it shows everything there only. So it's easy to analyze for our customer. That is the reason why we are going for dashboards. Real-time environment, we are going to work with the dashboards. Right, and dashboards creation. So after that, sharing the subscriptions, that is common thing. So these things are really important. So you can divide this project into any project, any Power BI project into different parts and data related operations, visualizations related operations. Okay, na? Data related operations, visualizations related operations. So if you can divide like this, then you can easily work in real-time environment, because maintain clarity. If there is no clarity, you cannot work. So, but remember, before going to start learning Power BI, it's better to learn SQL Server queries. So some people says that when you are asking somebody suggestion, bro, I want to learn Power BI, is there any prerequisite? Yeah, basics of SQL enough. But he doesn't know anything about Power BI. He is a software engineer, but he works with some other technology. Got my point? So don't believe such kind of things. So SQL queries part is required. Data warehouse concepts knowledge is required. That is the prerequisite for this course. And it is completely, no coding. So now your question is, sir, you are only saying no coding, you are only saying Power queries required. Queries only, Andy. Queries only, not programs. Even if you cannot write queries, how can you get 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs? So I'm getting 25 lakhs salary. I need 2 crores dowry. My bag salary. Common things, right? So queries means it's not coding and common scenarios. Even testing people also learning queries. They're writing queries. Imagine now. So these things we are doing here in this Power BI project, because I want to give you clarity whether after finishing this training, whether you are able to work with the environment or not. You can work, because it is even suitable for non-technical people also. But only thing is practical knowledge is required, queries knowledge is required. So those queries we are only going to teach part of this training. You no need to go to any other institution or any other training. Okay. In the same way, in this training tomorrow onwards, we are going to start with SQL queries. But in Power BI training, we are going to discuss only some part of the SQL developer, queries related scenarios. But if you want to learn complete SQL Server, Power BI, complete SQL Server, so we have separate class. I think today only we are starting 5 p.m. So you can contact training team. They will give you details. You can attend Power BI morning 8 o'clock, evening 5 o'clock, SQL Server class, pure SQL Server development. Okay, na? So these things we have. And coming to next scenario, now, actually, I'm sorry, Andy. I discussed some point previously. Sir, where we are going to write queries in Power BI? Yes, we are going to write queries. I'll give you complete information. For example, so suppose this is some data source. This is your Power BI. So like this, you are going to extract data source to Power BI. Here, data access different ways. Import to data and direct query. Right, and import to data and direct query. See, import means, suppose we have some table in the source. Suppose employee table. Right, and you're going to copy employee table from source to Power BI environment by using import. Now what happens, the table, right? The table is going to copy into Power BI permanently. Okay, na? Whatever the table there in the source, the table is going to copy into Power BI permanently, and it is going to store in Power BI. So how it is going to store, that and all I show practically, right, Andy? But direct query means what happens, suppose you are going to extract data, some table from source to Power BI. There you are going to write query. Suppose select start from table name, something. You are going to write some query there. So based on query, you are going to extract the data. But when you are using direct query, data will be there in the source only. Only metadata will be copied to Power BI environment. Metadata means table name, columns names. Table name, columns names. Got my point, Andy? So here, what is happening, actual data we are not going to copy into Power BI environment. Actual data will be there in the data source only. Correct? So that is the difference between import to direct query. So when you are using direct query, you have to write queries there. If you don't know how to write SQL query, then how can you work with the direct query? You cannot, right? Generally, based on data size, suppose up to 1 GB, 1 GB data, generally we go for import. If size is more than that, then generally we are going to work with the direct query only. Because as we discussed in yesterday's class, we have to provide security. In the same way, performance. Performance means what? Speed, accessing speed, right? So now question is, why we need speed for reports creation? Reports. For example, there is some online report. You clicked on report. If it is opens, then you feel happy. Suppose if you clicked on report, it is taking time to open. You feel bad. Am I right or not? Who developed that report? Just assume that some Power BI developer. You only developed it because you are going to work as Power BI developer, right? And you only developed that report. You developed, but there is no performance. You fail to provide performance there. Then, got my point. And these are the issues. So there is some concept means we are going to work with that concept because of that reason only that is there in the subject. Otherwise, no need, right? It will not be there. So in the same way, I'm talking about only data source, databases, queries, these things. But not only databases, we are also going to work with some file system. Okay, some file system. Generally, some client stores data in the form of files. So you are going to extract data from those files. But when we are going to extract data from files, we use only important. Direct query will not work there because where we can write queries, we can write queries in SQL only, databases only, not in some other technologies, right? And in databases only we can write queries. That's the point. Okay. So now I told you in yesterday's class, after finishing this training, I'm going to provide you some project, but it's not real-time project and it's not live project. So I have some scenarios. So based on those scenarios, I'm going to explain some project. So at least you can get some knowledge how this is going to work in real time. Suppose you got job, you join with the organization, so no need to feel tense there because you're going to learn some project process here. Otherwise, what happens, you feel tense. Subject, you practiced, but still you feel tense. So suppose there is some task, from where I can start this task. That some situations, what happens, we cannot ask even our colleagues. You can see a lot of politicians in offices. Indian politics, zero when you are comparing with organizational politics. Okay. So if you want to avoid those things, what to do? Concentrate on subject, practice. So coming to next scenario. Now, here, I already discussed this point, and data manipulations, data modifications, we are not going to perform. If you are SQL Server developer, then only you are going to work with modifications related. But you are Power BI developer, you are not going to work with SQL development environment. Just we are going to extract the data from SQL Server, right? So, sir, every time you are talking about SQL Server only, why you are not talking about other databases? This is also common doubt. See, generally you are working with Microsoft Power BI tool, means your data source will be SQL Server. Maximum your database will be SQL Server. Sometimes what happens, you are going to work with the cloud environment also. Azure cloud databases will be there. So even you're going to work with Azure cloud databases, sometimes only, not every time. See, Azure cloud, nothing, I'll show you now only. So you are going to work with Azure cloud, no need to worry about that time, because the reason is whether it is on-premises SQL environment or cloud environment, no need to worry, same environment will be there. This is cloud. I think cloud is much more better than on-premises. Really, no doubt. I'm sorry. Here we have some database like this. Directly you can provide your credentials like this. See this connected. From yesterday we are discussing some points. Tables. Why we are discussing about the tables? See, you go to RDBMS databases. Azure SQL is RDBMS only, right? Got my point. You go to RDBMS databases, there you can work with, you can store data only in the form of tables. There is no other facility. Suppose this is cloud SQL. I'm writing basic select statement, very basic. See, executed, data retrieved. This is the data. Same query, I'm going to close this, this window. I'm going to open Microsoft SQL Server on-premises environment. My intention is I want to show you, if you learn something, queries, you go to any other environment, there you are going to write same query. That's what I want to explain. That's why I'm showing. I already showed Azure SQL environment. I typed some query there. That's connected to on-premises SQL Server. Just a tool is going to change and environment. Here I'm going to select my database, Suresh DB. I'm writing query. execute. See this. Same query. What is this, sir? There we have seen different data. Here you are showing different tables. It contains different data. And so this is the point. I think you got it right. So better to concentrate on SQL part. You no need to practice on Azure cloud environment and just practice on on-premises SQL only. On-premises environment is enough for us to practice SQL queries. So practical purpose, I'm going to provide you database. And we are going to provide you soft copy material of the SQL. So now let's concentrate on SQL area for this week, mostly next week also. Then we can work with the, after that we can work with the Power BI. That's what my plan. Okay. So now tell me if you have any questions.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Tell me, please.
So, is there any evening batch of yours for this Power BI? Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Vakar, tell me, Vakar.
So, is there any evening batch of yours for this Power BI?
Sorry?
Evening batch for Power BI.
Evening batch, evening 6 o'clock. It is going to start from Friday.
Okay, okay.
But if you want
Sir,
to
can
attend
I?
that class, better to attend 5 p.m. SQL class from today. Okay, na?
Okay, okay. Because sir, I don't get time. Actually, I am on
Yeah,
site. I
you
am a
do one
civil
thing.
engineer.
Evening 5 o'clock, you make a call to training team. They'll give you evening 5 o'clock link. SQL server is going to start from today. Attend SQL server class, then you can attend Power BI from Friday, 6 p.m. Okay, na?
Actually, sir, I am civil engineer. I am on site, so I can't attend 5 p.m. I can attend either morning or evening class after 6 or
Or
before
6
9.
o'clock, you can connect to 6 o'clock class from Friday then. Okay, na?
No problem. I will continue in this morning session, and if I yeah, if I leave this class, then I will
Sure.
join in the
No
evening.
problem. No problem. No problem.
And
Okay.
sir, I am a civil engineer, so I have some doubt.
You
My
don't
main concern is to.
worry. Any doubts I can clear them. Okay, na?
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.